I'm going to talk about construction calculators. Now, let me start with some disclaimers. First, I do not have professional construction worker experience. This is just the outfit that everybody that's shown in the ads for these calculators is wearing. So they all look like this. I do not claim to be an expert on construction calculators. I saw one of these, was curious what they did, and bought it. And the purpose of this presentation is to share an overview of what I found. So for my talk, the topics: what is a construction calculator? What are the 4 defining characteristics? Why feet and inches input? What are 2 feet and inches input methods that are used and how they've evolved over time? The feet and inch fraction patents. So what are the patents that the industry used to lock these calculators up to begin with? Triangle solvers. Then models from 2 manufacturers, extras like application solutions and numerical accuracy, availability, where to buy, and end with doing this on an HP calculator. So, construction calculators. Okay, harder to do when you can't see the screen. What's the first defining characteristic? Well, they have feet, inch, fraction, input, and display. Okay. The second, they have triangle calculator, stair, and roof solvers built in. Third, they're yellow. Okay. And the last, the product names all have construction or inch in their name. So now you are all qualified to identify these things in the wild. Why feet and inches? Okay. First, it's how we think. If I said I have a piece of wood that's 4.3125 feet long, okay, you are, if you're not dealing in metric, we're dealing in inches here, English units. If I gave you that number, you would have to mentally convert it into, well, what is that? It's 4. You would convert it and you say 4 feet 3 3/4 inches. That registers what it is, but not the 4.3125. So that's why feet and inches. Second reason is most rulers are in feet and inches, like this one, tape measures and whatnot. So if you had something that was 4.3125 feet, you don't have a ruler that would actually measure that. Except decimal feet decimal feet are not directly usable unless you have an engineering scale. Okay, so they make tape measures that have tenths of a foot. You can buy one of those, and we can send that around. So go ahead and start passing. You just hand it to your neighbor and send that around. So you can actually buy these are tape measures. You can buy it like a Home Depot or whatever. Okay. Construction calculator. This is the prompted entry sequence. Okay, so this is the first versions of these calculators that came out. This is the way they did it. So you start with a flashing feet. I can maybe point. Yeah, you start with flashing feet. You enter the feet you type in the number of feet. You hit enter, and then inches starts flashing. You enter the number of inches with enter. Now you get the numerator flashing. Then you enter, let's see. Yeah, you enter the numerator because the numerator is flashing. Then you get the inch mark flashing. And then you select the denominator for the fraction. Then when you hit the equal key, it converts the 34 feet 26 inches into 36 feet, it basically converts to digital feet internally and then displays the reduced value. Notice that it's an algebraic calculator, but it has an enter key for the sequence and an equals key. So not all calculators that have enter keys are RPN. Okay. Huh?
It's a double wide
Go
enter key.
Yeah.
In the right location.
Now, this picture was a little harder. What I wanted to represent in this picture is what's the keyboard you need in order to implement this calculator. And you can see that it's got the numbers enter and the denominator for the fraction. And this is the display. The display was harder because there's no mode on, unlike the Voyagers and whatnot, there's no mode on this calculator that does self-test and puts this up. So I actually found a set of sequences that confused the calculator enough that I could show it. So in this, you can see that it's a 7-segment display with a couple of extra segments, one up here for the top of the F and one here for the N and the foot mark, then the fraction display on the side. Okay, now this is what calculators have evolved to. So if you buy a new model out there, you're going to get something that is what I call a key-driven entry sequence. So this is the same set of numbers, but notice how easier it is. You enter the 34, you say feet, 26 inches, 15, divide, for numerator 16, denominator equals, and you get the same, you get the same entry. Okay, the advantage of this is you don't have to look at the display to get prompted on what you're inputting next. You tell it on the way. The other advantage is you don't, on your keyboard, you don't have the separate you're not limited to the denominators that are on the keyboard, and you could put 64ths of an inch on that as well. Okay. Now, this is how you do math with the calculator. The first column is what we just went through. So it was the entry, but this time instead of saying equal, I say plus, because this is an algebraic calculator. Then I input a second measurement, and I make it 64ths. Okay, you hit equal and it adds the 2. Okay, you hit divide by 3 and it gives you the new feet and inches divided, and you multiply by 2 and you get that value.
Does it allow non-dyadic numbers? Like what if you put 3860 over 63 instead of 64? Would that be okay?
I don't know. I've always done the multiples of 2.
Dyadic numbers.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm going to pass these around. You can try it. What they do say, though, and we'll get to this a little bit more in the accuracy part, is that division is not your friend. Okay, when you do, if you take an amount and you divide, let's say you divide by 3 or something like that, you will end up with measurements that aren't rounding to good fractions, and so there will be rounding error in it. And if you use that, for instance, in a step calculation, there's some things you have to do in terms of rounding to make sure that your steps all match up when you get to the other end. So that may be related, but again, try it when it goes around. Yes?
Yeah, so my question is about rounding. For example, you've got 33/64ths there in the second to the bottom. And is there a setting or something you do to make that just display as 14 foot 8.5 inches?
No. You get that. I know the answer to that.
It doesn't automatically float, to adjust?
No, what you see is what you get. You don't have an option to
set an arbitrary
no.
fraction.
Nope. Or if you can, I don't know how to do it. Okay, but I'm not aware that you could, and I played with these a fair amount. Okay, so now let's look at the construction calculator. display and keyboard requirements. Now again, this is fun, and I think there's a talk on taking pictures of calculators. So the goal on this was to show you the complexity of the display for a display that I could never figure out how to turn all of the segments on. So this is going outside at, I think it was sunrise, and with bright light hitting the display at an angle so that you could actually see the segments even though they weren't lit up. So in the segments, again, it's at the bottom, it says the LCDs are complex with prompt text segments. So we got prompt text segments on the top, on the bottom, and over here. You know, we got 41C-like prompt segments on this display and this display. 7 segments, the fractions, prompts. Okay, what don't you see in that display?
Decimal point.
Don't see decimal. The decimal points are there. But you're close.
Separators.
No, you don't see exponents. These calculators don't support exponents. What they do, we'll talk about what they do later. Okay, the patents. The 6, I did Google patent searches. So on these, basically the feet, inch, fraction calculators, and then looked at the other patents that might reference those to trace back to what the 6 base patents were for this kind of technology, this display and entry technology. And these are the 6. All 6 have now expired, but you can sort of see how they've evolved over time. And this patent was pretty darn close to like the modern day calculators. Now, when I did the patent search, I came across this, which smiley face is, when I did my intro, I said HP65 was my first calculator. So when I saw that the HP65 users library was referenced in one of the patents, that brought a smile to my face, and I said, oh, all right, they were looking at some of the stuff we did. Then I talked to Eric and others and found out that we probably lost that user library program along with the rest of the HP65 stuff. So it was one of the things that got lost in all of the transitions. So
the archives may have all the patents, though.
I wasn't going to try to pounce on that immediately, but I am. It is interesting to check to see.
At one point, I think we used the phrase something like some of the patents, but
yeah. Although the question was asked of Nicole today, do you guys deal with user libraries? And her answer was no.
well, I don't think she knows what we mean when we say user library.
Okay.
I tried to explain to her that this is something was operated by HP and not something the users did, and
Right,
this is
right.
something.
Yeah.
I think she was interpreting it as
Yeah,
what you.
So we can cross our fingers and hope to get that back, because this is only one example of a lot of other stuff that might be out there.
Well, HP literally does not have any of that.
Yeah. Okay. Next, triangle solvers. So everybody in the room is familiar with the 12C's solver, right? It's the NIPV payment where you enter some of the variables, and after you've entered enough, you hit the other ones and it automatically calculates it. Well, these calculators all have triangle solvers where you've got A, which is what they call the run, B, the rise, C, the diagonal, and S is the slope, where slope is defined as if you have that angle and 12 inches, what does the S become? So the triangle solvers that all of these calculators have says, you enter, give me 2 of them and I'll calculate the other 2. And this is for if you're trying to figure out how many steps there are, or if you're trying to figure out the slope on your roof, and it gets a lot more complicated on the roof as you look at various size rafters and whatnot. So in this one, it's, again, you enter the feet, enter the inches, you hit B, you enter feet and inches, hit A, and then you calculate C, and you calculate the slope. And remember that number, we'll come back to it.
Chuck, how does the user map what is A and B and C to real world?
Oh, this is, so first, good question. First, if you look at the calculator, it's got a little picture of the triangle on it right here that tells you exactly what the letters are.
Okay, so it's just the convention is that.
The convention is this for those letters, and it's even on the calculator, so you don't have to go to a reference manual or anything else. It's right there on the face of the calculator, and you just enter the ones. But the manuals are also actually really good for explaining that.
And they're, for that industry, they're unconcerned with the other angle.
So in that industry, in this industry, the first units were unconcerned with that angle. Okay, but you'll see. Okay, the newer versions of the calculators, we add more features. Okay, so in this one you've got the diagonal, the rise, the run, the pitch, which is the angle, and the slope, which is again defined the same way as it was before. Now we enter the value, we hit rise, and it uses the little prompt to show you rise. Enter the value, hit run, hit diagonal, it calculates the diagonal and tells you it's the diagonal. Hit pitch, it tells you the angle. So the newer versions say, well, if you want to know the angle, you get it. Hit pitch again, you get the pitch. You hit pitch again, you get the gradient. You hit pitch again, you get the slope, and you hit pitch again, and you get that 15 and 11/16 inch slope number that we had before. Oh, I got the question and I got distracted. This, by the way, this triangle solving is not hard stuff. Okay, it's in the HP65 standard pack, for instance. Okay, on this one, to get the angles and whatnot, you need to go to the HP65 math pack, or it's in the 41 standard pack. So this is simple triangle solver stuff that the HP calcs all do, the programmable. Now, construction calculators. Sonin, which is one of the first two manufacturers, has three models that I could find. They have the Inchmate and the 2000 and the model DT2020. And I've got these two going around the room so that you can take a look at it. These are not the intro dates. These are the copyright dates on the manual. I can't find, and Sonin didn't know, what the intro dates on these units were. Okay, this is a partial list of the construction calculators from Calculated Industries. So these units are all in production and all for sale now. Okay, this is a partial list. Okay.
That one that says Measure Master, does that have some kind of measuring device, ultrasonic or laser or whatever built in?
No, but it's got other features beyond what a construction calculator does. And they've got things that do pipe measurements and volume calculations, and they've got materials management, so you can use the measurements that you have to estimate how much lumber to buy and that kind of stuff.
Chuck, with that many manuals, with that many different models, Are there different ones for different channels?
Yeah, oh yeah. There's for plumbing, for electrical, for roofers, for,
But how do they sell them? You can go to the website, I'm sure, but are they sold through construction?
I'll get there. Okay, so we'll talk in a minute about what I found from working with the manufacturers, but I asked Jake if anybody had done a presentation on construction calculators because they didn't want to repeat history. He and Eric both looked and said, nope, no one has. But we do have some ads.
County Aurora did one.
Yeah, about
Okay.
15 years ago. Or 10.
Okay. We did have ads, and got these from Jake. These are from Calculated Industries, and if you take a look, you know, you blow up the date. These guys have been around, you know, and if you looked at the patent dates, these calculators have been around for a while. Okay.
I thought HPCalc sold some of them as well.
Could have.
Could have. So, one value add, okay, it's not only what the calculators do, it's what's included with the calculators. This is the number of pages of application solutions in the user manual. So there's 15 pages in one, 16 in another, and 21 pages in the third. So these are not just examples. These are applications. This is like mini application packs. It's like HP included a math pack or a stat pack or a business decisions pack. And I'm not going to go through the details on this, but you can look at it in the presentation. They get very complicated in terms of trying to explain corner cases in order to make sure that you know how to in all possible cases, build the staircase that's going to fit and doesn't, not connect up at the top. Okay. The next value add of calculators, a check on the manual, if you will, is whether they talk about numerical accuracy. And again, what I show here is the sections from the two. On the right, whoops, that was a mistake. On the right, they talk about everything goes into the calculator, gets converted to decimal feet, and then gets displayed back as feet inches. Or you can actually turn the display on to just stay in decimal feet all the time. On the other side, it talks about, again, what I had mentioned earlier, where you have to, what things you have to do in order to adjust the numbers depending upon the math that you're doing on it. Okay. Construction calculators. Now that I've convinced you all that these are neat gadgets, and you have to have a few of them for your collections, where can you get them? Okay, on Sonin, they're no longer in production. You can get them in thrift stores and on eBay. Calculated Industry is in production, and they are widely available. You can get them at Amazon, Lowe's. I got one of mine at Home Depot, Grainger, and you can also get them on eBay. So if you have to have one of these, you can also get one on the price table. I didn't put it there, but one of the other folks actually put one on the price table as well.
Grainger tells you a lot about, if they're selling a Grainger, it's for the real construction guy.
Yeah, oh yeah. Well, you'll see in a second something else that proves that. Whoop, did I? Next generation. So what do they do for an encore? What did they do for an encore? Well, they added square and cubic math. So it's not just linear dimensions that you deal with. You can hit inch twice and get square inches, for instance. So they did square and cubic math. They added area calculations for different shapes. So now you're not just dealing with triangles anymore. You're dealing with squares and circles and other shapes. They added trigonometric functions. So they have trig functions, and they added memory so that you could store intermediate calculations and whatnot. They also added an offer. Calculated Industries added an offer Android apps for the low price of $34.99 a year, or $4 a month. You can get an Android app calculator that it cost me $40 to buy at Home Depot. So, but clearly, why this business model makes sense is they're selling to construction companies and whatnot. They offer update services. They offer support, online and phone support for people that have that app. So it makes a certain amount of sense for folks in that business. Okay. ET phone home. What happens when you call the phone number that's printed on a 25-plus-year-old calculator? The calculator has a label right on the front, and it has a phone number there. Well, so I called Sonin, and I got forwarded to voicemail. I left a message saying I was going to do a presentation on their product and wanted to talk to somebody about their calculators. A representative called me, returned my call within less than a week. And the representative was surprised I wanted to talk to him about calculators. He said that Sonin was acquired by current management 5 years ago, and they now, if you go to their website, make moisture measurement equipment, and is currently not making calculators. Representative, he said, where did you get one? Okay, because we're not selling them. And I said, well, you can get them at thrift stores and eBay. eBay? And I said, yeah. And he looked, and he was really surprised by the pages and pages of Sonin calculators that were out on eBay. Wasn't expecting it. They did have PDFs of their users' guides. So Calculated Industry, the one that's currently in production, didn't return emails. I'm not their target market. So construction calculator. I'm going to go through this quick. There are at least 4, if not more, implementation of feet, inch, fraction of an inch to decimal feet and backwards calculations. I got 2 more from Joe Horn that I hope got added to the drive. I sent them to Eric. I don't know if they did or not. They did? Okay. And just so you can relate it to HP calculators deal with hours, minutes, seconds, and convert it to decimal hours. Okay? If you want to do the same thing with feet, inches, fractions, you can. And there's actually a program out on one of the drives that does that. Okay? I give you my obligatory code sample to show you that here's some code that will do this, that will work on a Voyager or 41. Okay, so this is the talk. We talked about what a construction calculator was. We talked about models for manufacturers, value add, availability, where to buy, and next generation. With that, I am exactly at my original time, but I'm over for my new time.
Cool.
Questions?